Nestled on the Atlantic coast with its Mediterranean climate, the country of Portugal is too pretty to be left out of your travel bucket list. The charming country is raw and authentic, with beautiful landscapes and scenic coastlines. The mountains and hills, the vineyards, the warm beaches, and the laid-back lifestyle make Portugal one of the best countries to visit. But recently, Portugal has seen a huge increase in immigrants, especially Californians, coming to make the country their home. Why has Portugal suddenly become the new California? The world wondered what Portugal had that so many people were suddenly moving there, and not just us commoners either. Many celebrities too seem to be escaping to Portugal. Madonna moved from London to Lisbon in 2017, a move that surprised many. Actress Scarlett Johansson bought a flat there, while German pilot Michael Fassbender bought a house with a river view. Actor John Malkovich went the same way and was so impressed that he even posted a video on the internet describing the setting. A feast for the eyes. The architecture and the variety of houses, the colors, the landscape. Great culture, great people, great food. The list of celebrities goes on and on. Today, Portugal has a diverse community of expats from all over the world. Brazil, France, Ukraine, Britain, Africa, Italy, and very recently, California. The British, Brazilians, French, Italians, and the Chinese had known of this paradise for a long time, but the Americans were very recently introduced to it and seem to have fallen in love with it. The link between California and Portugal. The 2007-2008 global financial crisis saw a lot of Portuguese professionals losing their jobs. Portugal ended up as one of Europe's poorest nations in the disaster. The Lisbon government basically went into action mode by drafting immigration legal guidelines to aggressively court overseas professionals. They talked to the rich people, who could buy residency by purchasing land in the country, and to remote workers and digital nomads who could get citizenship here by earning abroad and spending it here. Ricardo Marveo of Beta I Lisbon, along with his co-founders, traveled around the world to look at what was happening everywhere else and think about what could work in Lisbon. The first stop was California, where they visited Google, Facebook, Stanford, and IDEO. Marveo invited 10 California technologists to head a conference called Silicon Valley Comes to Lisbon, which became a catalyst for technological innovation in Portugal. This is how a bridge was built between California and Portugal, benefiting each other culturally and financially. According to authorities, foreigners have invested more than $6 billion in Portugal since 2012 just through property purchases. The vacationer and rental industries added more than $10 billion before the pandemic, accounting for 15% of Portugal's GDP. The California of Europe. Fernanda Carapinha, a former development executive at Paramount Studios in Los Angeles and now founder and CEO of We Global Studios, said to LA Magazine, "They often joke that once upon a time Portugal and California were one and they split. The climate is the same, the plants are the same. It's pretty wild." And truly, Portugal does seem like California's twin, without the wildfires and droughts and all the bad parts. Similar weather and geography. Portugal has weather that is very similar to California. The cool Mediterranean climate that draws Americans to California is the same that is drawing Californians to Portugal. Portugal receives more hours of sunlight per year than California, and even the winters are not as harsh. When it comes to geography too, Portugal has a lot of beautiful mountains and mesmerizing scenery, similar to California. Both countries also have lots of beaches. Similar vibes. The vibe of a place is also something that helps you make a connection with it. While the rural towns of Portugal might feel outdated, the cosmopolitan cities tell a totally different story. Cities like Lisbon and Porto in Portugal have diverse populations and urban cultures. They also have an active nightlife, which is very similar to California. The beaches of Portugal can be quite attractive to surfers everywhere. This is also an activity much enjoyed on the coast of California. People spend a lot of time on gorgeous beaches. Southern California and the Algarve coast. One thing extremely common between California and Portugal is the expansive coastlines that both the places have. The Algarve coast of Portugal has a coastline that is extremely similar to Southern California. Both the destinations have amazing beaches with pristine blue waters, a gentle breeze, and a pleasant climate. Both places are also surfing hotspots, attracting the best surfers from around the world. Golden Gate Bridge. The Golden Gate Bridge of California may have a doppelganger. No, we're just kidding. But Lisbon in Portugal does have its own red bridge. This bridge, painted red, is suspended across the river Tagus and closely resembles the Golden Gate Bridge if you look at it right. Why are people moving to Portugal? Immigration of people from the USA to Portugal cities of Lisbon and Porto increased by 33% in the year before the pandemic. Portugal gained even more popularity during the pandemic. It offers a feel of California with its sunny beaches and laid-back attitude. The country is rooted in history with its architecture, cobbled streets, museums, and palaces. But while California and Portugal are similar in many ways, there is quite a difference when it comes to the cost of living and the quality of life. Cost of living. There is a huge difference in the cost of living between Portugal and California, and it's one of the major reasons why people relocate to Portugal. If you have lived in America and are used to the American prices, Portugal will seem very inexpensive. The cost of living is less than half of California's, and you can get good quality wine almost cheaper than bottled water in the States. And yet, a lower cost of living doesn't mean a poor quality of life in Portugal. According to statistics, Lisbon has a cost of living index of 51.23, while in California, it's 79.71. This means that Lisbon is 28% cheaper than California. Regular expenditures such as groceries and rent can cost up to 92% and 86.7% higher respectively in California. It does, however, also depend on your lifestyle, in the way that cooking meals at home will save you quite a bit of money, but you won't get to experience the restaurant culture of Portugal, so you need to balance it carefully. Even in Portugal, in communities where expats reside, the cost of living is generally much higher than in other regions. Expats from the USA or richer European countries have better pay than local Portuguese residents, which means better purchasing power. This is why the local markets also adapt to the average spending capacity of the residents, effectively increasing the cost of living. Regions like Algarve or Lisbon are good examples of a higher cost of living, as these places attract expats. So if you want to live an inexpensive life, you need to move to towns and cities that are mostly local, such as Caldas da Rainha or Castelo Branco. Quality of life. Quality of life is an important factor to consider when you're looking for a place to call home. Your education, safety, and well-being are also important. Portugal and California are both good places to live when you look at the quality of life. Both places have good healthcare systems, good education, recreational facilities, and a temperate climate. However, Portugal is much better when it comes to safety. Portugal was ranked the 4th safest country in the world according to the 2021 Global Peace Index, and the 3rd safest in the previous years. Another factor to consider is fluency in English. Portugal is the 7th best at speaking English in the world, with English being the 2nd language in the country. The taxes in Portugal are not the lowest, but they are much lower than in the USA. The rents are low and the food is cheaper. Broadband too is inexpensive and kind of omnipresent. It's also a tax haven for cryptocurrency investors. The Portuguese time zone is an hour closer to California and New York than the rest of Europe. Portugal has been ranked 17th on the 2021 FreeOp World Index of Healthcare Innovation. It's also become a very tech-savvy country and is the host of the Web Summit, the largest annual technology conference since 2016. Portugal has attracted tech enthusiasts, creative entrepreneurs, and digital nomads. Since COVID-19 brought about the trend of remote working, the Portuguese island of Madeira took it a step further by creating a digital nomad village project. Nicknamed Pearl of the Atlantic, the volcanic island has been awarded Europe's leading island destination at the World Travel Awards. The archipelago is exotic, colorful, and filled with sunshine throughout the year. Portugal also offers co-working spaces for digital nomads all over the world. There are flexible spaces in Lisbon for group work and collaborative workshops. Designers can find companies in creative neighborhoods that help them exchange ideas. Todos is a large-scale creative facility in Lisbon with over 62 independent creatives under one roof, office services, galleries and event areas, and large spaces for filming. These spaces are available for daily rent. Porto is amazing for designers and artists, a hip city that blends the modern and the traditional. With the incredible architecture and the scenic views of the River Douro, the place will undoubtedly inspire you and make you feel like anything is possible. Porto is also known for the arts and crafts movements and its manufacturing, textile, and fashion industry. Portuguese linens are famous all over the world. Perhaps the most important thing is the work-life balance that Portuguese provides, which is deeply lacking in the USA. In Portugal, family comes first. Portugal has a slow pace of life, which may be exactly what the people in the US need: a breather. We get so caught up in our work that we forget to enjoy life. Portugal offers that. Moving from California to Portugal. All non-EU members would be required to get a visa, while EU residents might not. There are several types of visas you can avail of, such as study visas, tourist visas, work visas, or even for permanent relocation. There is also a golden visa program that you can look at that will help you get permanent residency in Portugal. What is Portugal known for? Beaches. Portugal is a coastal country and thus known for its gorgeous beaches, which are quite different from one another. The Algarve coast has the warmest waters, around 20 degrees Celsius. It has a temperate climate of the Mediterranean along with scenic landscapes. Costa Vicentina is a windy stretch where you can smell the ocean and the mountains. Nazaré is well known for its winter surf competitions. Local food. Portugal is a gastronomical haven. The Portuguese love good food, and their dishes emphasize the local produce: fish, meat, olive oil, bread, tomato, herbs, and spices. The food is simple but goes through detailed preparations. Pastel de nata, or pastel de belém, is one of the most famous Portuguese desserts. Some of the other popular dishes are caldo verde, francesinha sandwich, peri-peri chicken, porco preto, bifanas, and much, much more. The Portuguese codfish is one of the favorite fish for the people of this coastal country. The Portuguese have more than 365 ways of preparing the codfish, one for each day of the year. That's how much they love their fish. Soccer. Portugal is very, very, very well known for soccer, and the country comes to a standstill when there is a football match. Every town has its own home team, and the rivalries among them are so fun to watch. However, when the national team plays, all the differences are put aside and everybody comes together to watch the matches. Portugal has produced football legends like Eusebio, Luis Figo, and of course, Cristiano Ronaldo. Wine. Portugal has around 14 wine regions, offering a wide variety of wines. There is probably a wine for each palate and occasion in Portugal. Portugal was just behind Italy as one of the best countries to visit for wine lovers. The most famous wine in Portugal has to be the port wine. Even paradise has its problems, it seems. Over-tourism. Portugal has become one of the hottest tourist destinations in the last few years, attracting millions of tourists from all over the world. Lisbon and Porto are among the most visited cities, which are unfortunately too small to handle the volume of visitors. The historical attractions are always filled with people, making them difficult to visit. The tourism industry has also put a strain on local housing and public transport. The country is also too focused on increasing tourism, so it doesn't look like this problem is going to go away anytime soon. The slow pace of life. While the slow pace of life is what brings the overworked foreigners here, it can become a problem all too soon. The people who come to reside here are used to a much faster pace of life, where things get done quickly. But that is not the case in Portugal. Online shopping can be a hassle, as deliveries take a lot of time because most online shopping is done with companies that are outside of Portugal. Your deliveries from customs too can take up to months to get to you. The paperwork can be messy and frustrating and can take a lot of time to get approved. Even simple tasks like going to the supermarket can take forever as you stand in queues for a seemingly long time. Customer service is also not the best in Portugal, as solving a problem can take up to hours of your time. Expense. Portugal may seem like a relatively cheaper country, but there are a few places where expenses can run high. The cost of living in Portugal is slowly rising, especially in real estate. And this becomes a huge problem for the Portuguese in the country who have a lower purchasing power than the expats who still feel like the prices are lower than what they're used to. This has caused a lot of resentment towards the foreigners. The taxes in Portugal aren't the highest, but they're also not the lowest. Combined with social security, the Portuguese taxes are higher than in many other countries. The Portuguese customs charge exorbitantly high import fees on products. The fees are sometimes equal to the price of the product, and sometimes even more. Portugal is ranked 32nd among 198 countries for corruption, according to Transparency International's 2021 Corruption Perceptions Index. Corruption is just a way of life in the country, and you'll have to pay to get your work done. While food and wine are cheap in Portugal, not everything else is. Electricity and petrol are two things that are very expensive in this country. Even cars, furniture, electronics, books, cosmetics, imported food, and toiletries are more expensive than in other countries. Why Portuguese resent the Californians? As Californians are immigrating to Portugal in hordes, it seems that Portuguese residents aren't too happy. Indeed, this relocation of expats is creating problems for the natives. Even as the number of foreigners have grown by 40% in Portugal in the last decade, the overall population in the country has declined. Portuguese activists have protested against evictions and rents that have shot up ever since foreigners have started residing here with bank balances in dollars and pounds. They resent the foreigners, who often have to face questions over gentrification and immigration. Even the term expat has a negative connotation. While it is true that the foreign investment was good for Portugal's economy, it has become an issue for natives who cannot afford to live in their own communities anymore. This problem was expressed by Isabel da Bandeira in an interview for the LA Times. There's no doubt that the foreign investment has greatly helped Portugal's economy and made the cities more beautiful, said Isabel, an activist who co-founded the Lisbon housing rights group Aqui Mora Gente. But this process has also hurt the long-term residents who don't recognize parts of their communities anymore or who can't afford to live in them. The Californians are also doing their best to make Portugal feel like home by introducing new eateries, making subtle changes, and forming groups that don't really include the Portuguese people. According to Luís Mendes, a geographer at the University of Lisbon, you cannot deny that places like Lisbon have become much more appealing for young, creative people with money to spend. The effect on the economy and the way the buildings look, no longer empty, is astronomical, said Mendes. But the average Portuguese person can no longer afford to live in the center of Lisbon. Rents have gone up 5 times over a few years. Even the basic things, such as buying groceries, take longer trips outside the city center than they used to. The government, in a bid to solve this crisis, is no longer taking applications for the biggest cities in the Golden Visa program like Lisbon and the Algarve. Evictions have increased by a large margin in a few years in Lisbon. The city's former mayor, Fernando Medina, tried to launch an initiative to rent out Airbnbs as housing for locals, but it didn't work out as owners made more money by renting in a private market. It's natural to see why the natives would feel that way. Not the best feeling to have your home being transformed by your visitors into a space that suits their palate to something that you don't recognize and cannot afford anymore. As the people of California continue to migrate to Portugal to escape the existential crisis that their country is facing, it remains to be seen what Portugal will do to stay true to its roots without changing itself completely to just another California. What do you think? Do you feel that Portugal could be the new California? Do you agree with the natives? Would you like to visit Portugal? Let us know all your thoughts in the comment section below. Also, if you enjoyed this video, like and share. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more such content. See you in the next one.